Nebraska on Tap, the source for everything educational and informational about groundwater in agriculture. If you are an ag producer or a citizen of Nebraska, this show is made for you by the Middle Republican Natural Resource District.
Now it's time for our weekly show, hosted by Heather Disming.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Nebraska on Tap. This week, we are going to talk to Alan Bartels. He is from the Lower Loup, NRD, and he does their education and information. But it's really nice to hear from him about what he did before this. And then also, we are going to talk about his time at the Nebraska Water Leaders Academy. And so that is a program put on by a few people who have been in the water industry for a very long time. And Alan's going to tell us all the cool things that he experienced while he was doing that, and a little bit about himself again and the Lower Loup. So let's get into that right now.
I'm Alan Bartels. I'm the Information and Education Coordinator at the Lower Loup Natural Resources District in Ord.
How long have you been with the NRD?
About 2.5 years. I came here in September 2021. Before that, I was the editor of Nebraska Life magazine for 11 years.
Wow, that's awesome. I've read that magazine before, too, and there's a lot of great stuff in that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the NRD was looking for somebody with some writing skills and some photography skills and some social media experience and other things. And I wasn't looking for a job at the time, but it was a great opportunity, and I didn't want to pass it up. And so I'm enjoying the job here, and I've maintained my relationship with the magazine and still do a little work for them.
That's awesome. So have you been in Nebraska your whole life?
Yep, my whole life, lifelong Nebraskan.
Very nice. You've caught all the fish we could ever have in Nebraska, huh?
No, probably. But, you know, I did spend 4 years in the military after high school and went to Desert Storm with the 2nd Armored Division. But, you know, it wasn't until I left Nebraska after high school that I realized how much I loved it here.
Yeah, I know. Nebraska is a great, fun state. And, well, it's so great to have you at the NRD now. Now you're totally 100% Nebraskan, you know, working for the NRD.
And what's really interesting about it, and I'm in the same boat, I did not know what NRDs did. I had heard of the NRDs. I never gave a second thought to what the NRDs do. And, you know, that's a good part of what I do, is helping to get the word out about what we're working on and informing the public about the programs that we're doing. And so it's been an eye-opening and learning experience for me, for sure.
Yeah, and you guys have a pretty big territory being part of the Lower Loup River Basin Shed.
Yeah, we're the largest NRD in the state of Nebraska out of all 23 NRDs, more than 5 million acres. It stretches east to west, 156 miles from the eastern sandhills all the way past Columbus, and then 96 miles north to south. And it's so immense that we have more than 500 miles of streams and rivers just within our NRD alone.
And one of the reasons why I brought you on today is to talk to us a little bit about the Nebraska Water Leaders Academy that you were selected for and attended. What excited you about attending the Nebraska Water Leaders Academy when you found out you were accepted, Alan?
Well, so I had found their website somehow, and I was looking at the alumni tab, you know, to see who all had attended the academy. And there had been some people from my own NRD and some other NRDs, also people that I knew from conservation organizations and government agencies. And so there's a lot of people that I know that had been through it. The biggest thing for me was just making connections with people, you know, being fairly new to the NRD system. I thought it'd be a great way to meet people and learn how water policy works in this state. And so networking was probably my main goal.
That's awesome. And so what type of commitment is it to be a part of the Nebraska Water Leaders Academy?
It's 6 sessions over the course of a year, so one every other month. It's about a day and a half each one, and they do those all over the state. So there is a good time commitment. You know, some of those folks were driving from eastern Nebraska to Scotts Bluff, for instance, for one session, or maybe people from Scottsbluff drive into Nebraska City, for instance, on one of our last ones. So there's a good time commitment for sure.
You definitely have to have a good road trip radio mix if you're going to head out that long on the road. 8 hours. Oof.
Each of the sessions included some sort of a field trip experience. And so, it wasn't just sitting down, listening to somebody lecture. So it was fun. It was really fun. I think we all looked forward to it each session. It was really fun.
So that's nice. So every time you guys came together and met, wherever you met was at a water project you got to visit and learn about, right?
Yeah, something water related, with the exception of the first session, which was in Lincoln. Typically for water leaders, the first session is in Lincoln and they end up going to the Capitol. They didn't do that this year, and I forget the reason why. It had something to do with the legislature actually not being in session at that time. The one in Kearney, we went on a sandhill crane tour. We learned about, the issues facing the Platte River system and water elsewhere. That was really fun. I've seen the cranes a lot of times. I've guided those tours before for 20 years at Rose Sanctuary, but it was good to go with these water professionals and hear some of the questions they had. One other one, we went to Valentine. Among our outdoor stuff is we floated the Niobrara River in kayaks, but it wasn't just out partying. We had a geologist with us. We stopped, and this geologist taught us about things involved with the river. And, each of those sessions also had these experts speaking, so that was really a nice bonus. In Nebraska City, we went to the windmill museum there, Craigle Windmill Museum, which is the only museum of its kind anywhere where there's a old windmill factory left just as they left it on the last day before they closed it.
Wow.
But, probably my favorite one, and I made it a point to tell people this, my favorite one of all the sessions was we went to the city of Omaha. We went to one of their water treatment plants, and the guy who ran it was actually in my class at Water Leaders, and it was really fascinating to see the volume of water coming in this one facility, and realizing they have several other facilities. And it really puts a different perspective on the challenges that water professionals face across Nebraska. I live in a little town of 100 people. I work in a town of 2,000 people. Here's this guy responsible for treating the water for a city of more than 500,000. And in another session, we went to Scottsbluff and then went into Wyoming, and we toured irrigation projects that start out of state but affect our water here in Nebraska. So it was a really eye-opening experience, the whole year-long Nebraska Water Leaders Academy experience.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it, especially if you get to go to all these little things and quench your thirst for curiosity by learning about all of them. And like you said, touring the Niobrara with a geologist versus with all of your friends makes a big difference on what you learn about it. And then did you guys have team projects that you worked on? Yeah,
we did. There was a variety of projects presented, and we could decide which one we wanted to be involved with. My group, our challenge was Lake Babcock at Columbus. It's a lake that's part of the Loup power system over there to generate power for the area of Columbus. And it's an old lake, and it's been silting in for a long time. And the project we were challenged with was what would be the best remedy, or what were some ideas on getting rid of that sediment. And, they've already had experts working on that, but, we had people in our group that, from all different backgrounds, and Loup Power was just interested in outside ideas. And so our job actually wasn't to find a solution, but it was just to present different possible solutions. And the people in my group were expert engineers and other water professionals. I was coming from a writing and photography communications background, so I kind of felt like I wasn't really contributing, but my group assured me that I could contribute, and how I did that was through my photography. And so I went to Lake Babcock and explored it. I took a tour previously with Loup Power, but so I went there and photographed all the aspects we were going to address in our proposed solutions. And then at the final session, which was in Nebraska City, I spoke about our project, and that was my contribution.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you definitely need to see a visual when you start getting down to business with any type of rearranging. Any other fun projects you can think of or that stick out to you that you were able to experience while you were attending this?
Just the whole thing was really interesting. The quality of speakers that they had, talking about water policy and water projects, you could probably come up with some pretty dry presentations, but, they had, for instance, John Chapo from the Lincoln Zoo came and spoke to us. And, it wasn't about the zoo or animals or any of that. He talked about nonprofits and nonprofit management. Those agencies have a role in water in Nebraska as well. And we did have the scientists and geologists, and even some of my fellow NRD people presented different sessions during this, and it was just a good mix, and everything had some connection to water. The whole thing was just an eye-opening learning experience, and I was just at a conference 2 weeks ago in Lincoln, and I ran into 4 or 5 people, all from different agencies and departments, and from water leaders from my class. So. We stopped, we talked, and so that networking that I was looking for, it's already happening.
That's awesome. And then plus you have so much extra knowledge to talk about, participated too with all the different projects that you were able to see. That's really awesome.
And, honestly, Heather, right now on my computer, I have an email started to one of those guys that was in my water leaders class. It's nice to find that network, and then if there's anything you know about, you can share with them, or if you have a question that they might be able to help with, you just reach out, and it's great. Yep. So
where can people find information about this, Alan?
It's really easy. Find the Nebraska Water Leaders Academy at waterleadersacademy.org.
All right, perfect. And so what fun projects do you have going on in the lower loop or coming up?
Well, like in our information education department, we're getting ready to help out with the Children's Groundwater Festival coming up in a few months in Grand Island. We've got a backyard bird count here in Ord in a couple of weeks that we host every year. We're getting set up for that. And, some of the boring things that I get to do is writing up press releases and things, and those are going out for that event. Reaching out to schools, I reached out to all 42 of our 4th grade classes in this district the other day, earlier this week. I'm trying to get set up for some Arbor Day presentations. I would like to give away about 1,000 trees this year to those 4th graders and go do presentations with all of those students. So right now trying to gauge the availability of those teachers and their classes, because those 4th grade kids have a lot to do, and I might not get them all this year, but I'll keep working on it.
That's awesome. Well, it sounds like you have a whole bunch of fun things going on, and I'm so thankful that you spent a little time with us today to talk to us about all of that and then your experience with the Water Leaders Academy, and it was so great talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you got it. All right, Alan, thank you again for joining us on Nebraska on Tap. He is again up there in the Lower Loop NRD, and their headquarters are there in York. Great to learn about you and great to understand how you experienced the Water Leaders Academy, and that it was great insight for you and a great experience for you as well. And to all my listeners out there, if you like this episode, please don't forget to subscribe. If you are subscribed, thank you so much. And again, you can always visit our website, www.nebraskaontap.com, for our newest episodes that are posted on YouTube. You can go to YouTube and kind of see a visual representation of this. And we will talk to everybody later. Have a great one. Bye-bye.